Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Conor McGregor is white. You know it, I know it, even Conor probably knows it. The man's complexion is so pale it probably owes the sun an apology. But this conversation isn't about the obvious. It's about digging into what McGregor's whiteness actually means. Because it's more than skin deep, it's cultural, historical, and tied to how we perceive him in the sports world and beyond. And before anyone gets their feathers ruffled, let's be clear. This isn't a hit piece. It's a playful but thoughtful exploration into identity, privilege, and perception, with just enough humor to keep everyone calm, because the world's a mess, and we deserve a good laugh once in a while. First things first. Conor McGregor looks like he could get a sunburn by opening the fridge. We're talking about a guy who looks like he's been genetically engineered to survive cloudy skies. But that's not his fault, it's geography's. McGregor is Irish, and Ireland is part of Northern Europe, a place where the weather doesn't exactly scream Caribbean vibes. It is a place where the lack of year-round sun means generations of pale-skinned ancestors evolved to make the most out of every ray of vitamin D. McGregor's printer paper white complexion is a direct product of that geography. So yeah, McGregor's whiteness is just nature doing its thing. But there's more to this story than biology, so let's move on. Before we get into McGregor's antics, let's talk about his roots. Ireland isn't just a country, it's an identity, and one with a complex history. A couple of centuries ago, being Irish wasn't the flex it is now. If you were an Irish immigrant in the 1800s, especially in the US, people didn't exactly roll out the red carpet for you. Instead, they called you slurs, mocked your culture, and even questioned whether you were fully white. Don't believe me? Look at the old political cartoons. Irish people were drawn as ape-like caricatures, lumped in with other groups society wanted to keep down. They were the others, the undesirables. And yet, over time, the Irish clawed their way into mainstream acceptance, largely by blending into whiteness as we understand it today. So, when McGregor shows up in his flashy suits and yells into a microphone about proper Irish whiskey, he's not just selling himself, he's selling an evolved image of Irish identity. He's the scrappy underdog turned global superstar, a modern-day symbol of Ireland's resilience. And here's the thing. That transformation wouldn't have been possible if Irishness hadn't eventually been absorbed into the larger idea of whiteness. Now let's talk about why McGregor stays in the headlines. Sure, he's a killer in the cage, but outside it? The man has been a one-man scandal machine. From trash-talking rivals to throwing a dolly through a bus window, yes, that happened. McGregor is the poster boy for bad behavior. And yet, somehow, it all works for him. Here's where whiteness comes into play. McGregor's antics often get framed as wild or entertaining. He's a maverick, a bad boy, or just being Conor. But let's flip the script for a second. Imagine if a black or brown athlete did half the stuff McGregor has done. Would they get the same treatment? Take Colin Kaepernick for example. The man silently knelt during the national anthem, and it cost him his career. Now compare that to McGregor, who threw a dolly through a bus window, injuring fighters, and still walked away with million-dollar fight deals. The difference? Society often gives white athletes more room to mess up without permanent consequences. This isn't to say McGregor doesn't deserve the spotlight. He's earned it with his skill and charisma. But his whiteness does give him a bit of a pass. It's like the world says, oh, he's Irish and charming. Let him cook. Contrary to popular belief, McGregor didn't invent trash talk. Guys like Muhammad Ali were doing it long before him, and Ali did it better. But while Ali's confidence was often called arrogance, McGregor's swagger gets framed as marketing genius. Why? Because McGregor fits neatly into a cultural archetype that people find less threatening when it comes from someone who looks like him. McGregor plays the role of the loudmouth fighter to perfection. He's brash, he's cocky, and he's always got a one-liner locked and loaded. But let's be real, when a white athlete does it, it's often seen as cheeky or charismatic. When non-white athletes do it, they're more likely to be labeled as disrespectful, cocky, or even dangerous. This isn't just speculation, it's backed by studies. Research on racial bias in sports media shows that white athletes are often praised for traits like confidence and passion, while athletes of color are criticized for the same behaviors. McGregor's whiteness doesn't make him better or worse, it just changes how people perceive him. His antics are seen as part of his charm, while others might be held to a different standard. It's a double-edged sword, and McGregor knows exactly how to wield it. Now, let's get into the sticky topic of privilege, not in the political sense, but in the practical one. Privilege is not a dirty word, and it's not McGregor's fault, but it's there. Whiteness in Western culture comes with certain advantages, and McGregor benefits from them, whether he realizes it or not. McGregor's whiteness doesn't mean his life has been easy. The man came from nothing, but it does mean he gets more chances to bounce back when he screws up. Think about it. After his infamous bus incident, Dana White called it the most disgusting thing in UFC history. Yet, not long after, McGregor was headlining a blockbuster fight and raking in millions. Contrast that with someone like Jon Jones, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Jones has faced his share of controversies, but the media narrative around him is often harsher. Less forgiving. The difference isn't just talent, both are exceptional athletes. But while McGregor gets the bad boy label, others get written off as troubled or problematic. It's a subtle privilege, but it's there, and it plays a role in how his story is told. McGregor's fanbase is as diverse as it gets. He's got fans everywhere, from die-hard MMA followers to people who've never watched a fight in their lives. Part of that is his personality. He's funny, he's bold, and he knows how to put on a show. But his whiteness, combined with his Irish identity, makes him especially relatable to Western audiences. In Europe, McGregor is the ultimate hometown hero. In the US, he's seen as this larger-than-life character, a mix of Irish charm and American-style bravado. And globally, he's a walking, talking brand. His whiteness doesn't define his success, but it makes him easier to market to mainstream audiences, especially in places where whiteness is still seen as the default. Let's flip the script for a second. Imagine Conor McGregor with the same personality, the same skills, but a different skin color. How would the world react? Would his trash talk still be seen as playful, or would it be labeled aggressive? Would his controversies be forgiven as quickly, or would they stick to him like glue? It's impossible to say for sure, but history suggests the narrative might be very different. This thought experiment isn't about criticizing McGregor. It's about understanding how race shapes perception. McGregor's whiteness doesn't define him, but it does influence how the world sees him, for better or worse. At the end of the day, Conor McGregor is a lot of things. He's a cultural icon, a marketing machine, lightning rod for attention. He's a fighter, a showman, a trash talker, and yes, he's white. But his whiteness is just one part of a much bigger picture. It shapes how he's perceived, marketed, and celebrated, but it doesn't take away from his talent or his accomplishments. His whiteness doesn't explain everything about his success, but it's a factor worth considering. Because whether you love him, hate him, or just tune in to see what he'll do next, one thing is clear. McGregor isn't just playing the game. He's rewriting the rules. This isn't about reducing McGregor to his race. It's about understanding how identity plays a role in the stories we tell about people. And if we can have a laugh along the way, even better. Because if there's one thing Conor McGregor would agree with, it's this. Everything's better when it's a little bit outrageous. So next time you see McGregor strutting into a press conference in a fur coat, think about what's really at play. And like it or not, Conor McGregor knows exactly how to make the most of it.